You see that black boy over there running scared. His old man at the bottom. He done quit his 9 to 5. He drink full time and now he's living in the bottom. You see that black boy over there running scared. His old man over there running scared. His old man got a problem, and it's a bad one. He ain't done pawned off damn near everything.
Hello.
I'm on the way back for bottom. And don't you think it's a crime when time after time after time people in the bottom, there's people living in the bottom. Listen to me, see that sister, she was fine. She's buying a ticket wine in the bottom. She told me, oh man, you committed a crime, he's doing time, and now she's hanging in the bottom. I seen her out there on the avenue all by herself. She sure need help from the bottom. I seen her, the man tried to help her. She cussed him out and hit him in the bottom. They turned to me, they asked me, kill me. Don't you think it's a crime? No way. And time after time after time, people in the bottom. There's people showing up in the bottom. Give another good example. You see that jet and a rig on a suit there. He done damn near blown his to the bottom. He was a doctor helping young girls along. If they wasn't too far gone, they have problems. But the defenders of the dollar eagle said, what you doing, man, illegal.
Hey, welcome to the Reality Check with Charles Butler. We are getting ready to kick off the show, and we have a great guest with us, Mr. Stephen Woolford. He is the known as the good guy with the gun. He helped in one of the deadliest mass shootings in Texas history back in 2017. You guys probably saw it on TV. That shooting left 26 dead, 20 more injured in the First Baptist Church shooting in Sutherland Springs, Texas. And he's here to tell us about it. Hey, how you doing today, Stephen?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on your show.
Yeah, man, it's always good to have you. Hey, look, you can turn on the video if you like. The Supreme Court got through the case last week on guns. What are you guys saying about it? You're over at the Second Amendment, right?
I am a spokesman for the Second Amendment Foundation. Go to saf.org. It looking real good for the Supreme Court and their decision that they're going to be making. The Second Amendment Foundation has, I guess, appealed this and taken it all the way to the Supreme Court, and we're hoping for positive on this.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to be a big case, and it's supposed to be a case that is going to make a difference out there. Hold on one second.
Well,
go ahead.
When New York has just, I guess, in a lot of ways, ignored the Heller decision. And so this is just an extension of that, and your ability and your right to own and to carry a gun outside of your residence. The Second Amendment wasn't a right to own.
Turn on your video, Stephen.
Okay.
There you go. Okay, there you go.
Okay. The Second Amendment wasn't about the right to own arms, but it was actually about the right to be able to bear arms, to own and to bear arms. And what does bear arms mean? I mean, you can own a gun without carrying a gun. Bearing arms is carrying a gun for your protection and for the protection of everybody around you and against tyranny also.
Yeah, we certainly need it against that tyranny thing, man. They are wearing us out, I tell you. But look, in New York, which happens to have the most, I think, the strictest and the stupidest gun laws in the country. I mean, we used to have them in Illinois, all with that no good Mayor Daley, who basically took guns out of hands of law-abiding citizens while giving the communities the communities to the urban gangs, especially. And then when he was always questioned, this is what pissed me off about Daley, and I think he should have always been challenged. What pissed me off about Daley was they'd say, well, why don't you put more policemen in the black community and stop the crime? He said, well, if I took them out of the white community, put them in the black community, then crime would go up in the white community. So you have to understand, we did a whole expose, and of course, I don't get any credit for it, like the term Chirac. That was termed on my radio show. Everybody's going on talking about Chirac. Don't even know the meaning of it. I coined that phrase, and my listeners coined that phrase, I should say, because I used to do a segment every week. I was on weekly then, and then I went to a daily show, but I was on every week, and I do a show how in Iraq more people were dying on the streets of Chicago than in Iraq when we were in combat. So that's where Chirac comes from. That's the genesis and the nexus of the term, of the word. So, man, I have been calling, Charles Butler has been calling for the National Guard to come to Chicago for on the air since 2007. And now other people are talking about it because it was unpopular. Oh, we don't want to put black men in jail. I want to put them under the jail. Let me be clear. I don't want to put them in jail. I want to make sure that they never see the light of day. They're nothing but predators and degenerates, and they need to be put away.
Let me be clear. I don't want to put black men in jail. I don't want to put white men in jail. I don't want to put any men in jail. I want to put criminals in jail. Criminals are animals. Criminals take advantage of other people. Criminals, and it doesn't have a race to a criminal. A criminal is a criminal.
Well, in this case, it certainly does. And I'm specifically speaking about the fact that black men constitute roughly 8% of the U.S. population, but black men commit 52% of all homicides in this country. That's a race issue, dude. That, especially when you look at the facts that black on black crime is like 86%. So most of these homicides are committed against other black people. so it definitely becomes a race issue. You have such a small segment of the population, and we said 7-8%, right? But that 7-8% are not all criminals. You may have 1% of that population, and they're creating 52% of all homicides. We had a problem, man, and it's a race problem. Black men are violent and they're criminal and they're killing people. That's why and people used to get on my case because, well, you shoot another black man? Hell yeah. Because more than likely it was a black man or a black boy who's going to try to take me out. Why should I care about them? And that's my thing, Stephen. I've never really bought into that black stuff because it never meant anything when I was growing up. It never meant anything in my neighborhood. My biggest problem was with other black kids, not with the white kids, with the black kids. Oh, you too white. Why? Because I go to school, I study, I carry books home, I'm white. It's crazy, man.
No, that's just you're being a good citizen. You're trying to do the best for yourself and your family and the people who are around you. And is it? I guess you're saying, is it a cultural problem? If I say cultural problem, if I say it's a cultural problem, am I a racist because I'm white saying that it's a cultural problem?
Well, what about Denzel Washington saying it? Washington said it.
That's okay for Denzel Washington to say it, but if a white man says it, they want to jump up and down and scream that he's a racist or something. I'm not a racist.
You know what? You're going to be called something. And I look at, I look at all these other people out here, like Larry Elder. Larry did this thing called Uncle Tom. Here's a guy who is I hate to claim this guy, but he's an alum. But you know what? He's not a real Michigan guy. He's an alumnus. He went to grad school there. He's not a real Wolverine. I am a real Wolverine. So, but Larry did a thing called Uncle Tom. Totally worthless piece of trash. Uncle Tom was from the book, Harry Beecher Stowe's book, Uncle Tom's Cabin. Yes. What he missed, and others tend to miss, is that one, Uncle Tom was a hero. Two, he had extremely heroic traits and died because he wouldn't give up the two ladies who escaped, two women who escaped. So this term Uncle Tom comes from the ignorance of the 60s and these so-called black folks seeking blackness. Uncle Tom was heroic for his time. No, did he fight back? Yeah, he fought back in his own way. I mean, he would have been killed. And they try to act like slaves weren't killed. Like I got into a big argument with my sister. Just to show you how people don't get history, how they don't understand history. And my sister happens to be a psychiatrist. She's an MD. She's done a lot of schoolwork, 12 years of training. But she still couldn't grasp that the Emancipation Proclamation did not set slaves free. Slaves did not walk off of plantations because Abraham Lincoln said they were free. They only were able to be free when the Union soldiers went in and liberated them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I've heard Alan West speak about Uncle Tom, because he's another one that they've called an Uncle Tom before. And Alan West, he's a good friend of mine. And Alan West says that.
Did you just call Alan West an Uncle Tom? You just said Uncle.
I'm sorry. He said no. Okay. But Alan West said that he's a hero in the book.
Something that he's a hero. But see, Alan gets all that from me. I mean, I told this guy when he was a congressman, I told this guy straight up, there's 72 Democratic socialists in Congress right now. That's what I told him. He gets on TV the next week and he says there are 72 communists in the Socialist Party. Two entirely different things. But because he's a military guy, he gets communism and socialism confused. They're not the same thing. We consider them in the military.
True communism and true socialism are absolutely diametrically opposed.
But he gets on TV and that's what he says. So my aunt says to me, well, Adam West got on TV. I heard Adam West on TV, and she said, I saw Alan on TV, and he said that there are 72. I said, well, I gave him that information. Why would he go on TV and say this? So we get in this big argument, she and I. I said, I know he didn't say that. We Google it, right, and pull him up on a video, and sure enough, he's saying that there are 72 communists. No, they're socialists in the Democratic Socialist Party who happen to be sitting U.S. congressmen. My congressman, who I asked point blank on my radio show, are you a Democratic Socialist? And he said, yes, of course, I'm a Democratic Socialist.
And the reality is true socialism or true communism cannot exist as it is, nor can socialism. And though they are described to be opposites, they're actually so many times the same, because even the USSR was one of the S's stood for socialist republic. And so everybody was saying they were communists. Communism and socialism are very, very similar.
Yeah.
And that's the way they exist.
Yeah, but the the Soviet Union, which was the Union, it was called the Union of the Soviet Socialist Republic, the Union of the Socialist Soviet Republic. I'm sorry, the Union of the Soviet Socialist Republic. Yeah, that's what USSR
Yes.
stood for. And
So they claimed to be socialists and they were
socialists.
communists.
And they were communists. Yeah. So check this out. When we start talking about, like I said, calling for the National Guard to come here, this is a clip that I got from what's his name, Anderson Cooper. He mentioned it on his show. Listen.
I want to read something that a Chicago radio talk show host, Charles Butler, said. He refers to gang members as urban terrorists, and he said this about the violence. He said, if this type of carnage were going on in a suburb of Chicago, we would have the National Guard, Blackwater, and armed vigilantes lining the streets to protect these young people. It does seem like, because it's in an urban setting, in an inner city community, that people outside of even of that community kind of expect this to happen. And this, I mean, this is not something that's normal. It should not be considered normal.
Oh, I'm not hearing you now.
I said the killing and the carnage in the black community is considered normal.
And that's sad.
Well, that's true.
And you know, I'm with the Second Amendment Foundation, and the problem is with all the inner city kids, the only thing they know about guns is they see them when they're shot at them and stuff. They don't.
Well, I mean, I grew up in the inner city. I mean, I knew about guns. I was raised handling guns all my life: guns, shotguns, rifles. And we hunted possum. I mean, we had possum in Detroit. We had possum in the city. And it was interesting because my folks were from Georgia and Florida, so they hunted possum. And they, you know, I remember my uncle killing a coon, and I was like, a coon? You talking about a raccoon? Because they call them coons, right? Coons.
Yeah,
like, I know it. But they killed a raccoon in the backyard. Big old raccoon. He's almost big as a dog, and you know, gutted him and skinned him up and put him in a pot. And you know, I'm eating this raccoon, and I'm going, what is this? This is really good. And nobody said anything, right? Okay. I'm a kid, you know, about 9 years old. Man, it was doggone raccoon, man. It was pretty good though. It's pretty good. But you know,
I ate armadillo one time. I didn't know what I was eating at the time.
How does it taste?
It was very good. I actually thought it was pork, you know.
So,
and you know, the guy that made it stepped up behind me. He said, "You know what that is that you're eating?" You know, there's never any good that can come out of that question. When somebody says, "You know what that is you're eating," they're not going to say that's prime rib or something. When somebody says, "You know what that is that you're eating," right away you want to push away from the table and say, "No, and I don't want to either."
Okay, so I'm going to tell you a story that my father used to tell. My father was a great storyteller. And this is a story Dad used to tell. It was a true story, though. One of his buddies at the plant was married to a woman who was part Indian. And they stopped at the reservation. They were going to Disneyland for that summer. You know, remember, Disneyland opened up really in the 60s when they put the highways in. You know, the highways were starting to be completed. The interstates were starting to be completed like 59, 60, 61. So this guy, you know, he's going out to California to take his kids to Disneyland. And they stop in Oklahoma at this woman's family reservation. So the guy's a white dude. He goes outside and he sits by the fire with the guys, and there's this big pot in the middle of the fire. And so the chief of the tribe, he says to this guy, he says, dig him deep, get puppy good. I said, okay, you know, he dipped in the pot, and everybody else dipped. He had dig deep, so he dug deep, you know, get the meat, you know. He's eating this. He said, he's good. He said, oh, this is good. He said, well, dig deep, get him puppy good. So he, you know, goes back and he, you know, gets some more, and his wife comes out. She says, He said, this stew is really good. What is it? I can't understand the chief. He said, well, what did the chief say? By then the chief said, hey, dig him deep, get him puppy good. He said, dig deep, get puppy. Puppy's good. Whoa. See, people don't realize that puppies are eaten in South Asia. Like when we had the Olympics in Seoul, they had to close down the dog. I remember being in Busan, going into shops that were dog, what were they? Dog soup. They called them dog soup something. But they were shops that made soup from dogs. They closed those shops during the Olympics. Did you know that?
I remember hearing that. Yes.
It's true. They did. They closed those shops. But I was in Busan, man. We went in and ate it. It was good. Seasoned well. Eat them puppy good.
It's amazing what you can eat if you have to.
They passed an ordinance in San Diego when I lived in San Diego. We passed an ordinance where you could not consume domestic animals because we have a lot of Koreans and Vietnamese and Filipinos in San Diego that settled in San Diego, and they were going to the dog pound getting puppies and eating them, right? Bringing them home and cutting them up. And, they was like, this is free food, right? So how they got busted was this little kid was playing with a puppy, little white kid, little Asian kid, they playing with the puppies. All of a sudden the puppy disappears. And they said, well, what happened to the puppy? Well, my mom cooked him. What do you mean your mom cooked him? That's how the story broke. True story, man. You can look it up. True story.
I grew up in a dairy. And my great-grandmother would walk out and say, Stephen, go catch me that red chicken over there. And I'd go catch the red chicken and she'd grab it and she'd wring the neck. And the next thing I know, she's frying it up.
Yeah.
It's like the old joke about the reporter that heard a story about a pig that saved the farmer's family's life. And the reporter went out there and there's a brand new house built by an old burned down house. And he went in, the farmer asked him to come sit down and have dinner with him. And he's eating dinner and stuff and interviewing this farmer. And the farmer says, well, the house got on fire in the middle of the night. And as it was burning down, the pig ran in and grabbed my wife by the nape of the neck and drug her out into the yard and saved her life. And by the time he came back in, he said, I couldn't see where I was going. And because all the smoke, and the pig led me out into the yard, saved our lives. And about that time, a three-legged pig ran through the room. And the reporter said, oh man, is that the pig? And the farmer says, heck yeah, that's the pig. And he says, and I guess that pig lost its leg in the fire. And the farmer says, oh, heck no, you don't eat that kind of pig all at one time.
Hey, man. Hey, barbecue ribs. That's what it's about. Those baby backs, baby. So speaking of baby backs, man, haven't had any in a while, but
come to Texas. We got the best barbecue around.
Man, you got everything in Texas, man. I got all kind of jokes about things being big in Texas, but I'm not going to tell them. Hey, but on this Supreme Court case in New York, where do the groups, where do they think it's going to go, and where do they think it's going to take us in terms of, it's like every time that we get ready to get national reciprocity across state lines, some event comes up that stops it. Like when Trump first got in office in 2017, the Congress is going to vote on national reciprocity, and then we had some big shooting, and it got pushed to the back burner.
Las Vegas was 2 days from. They were 2 days from hearing reciprocity,
right?
And the Hearing Protection Act, which would have taken suppressors off of the NFA list.
Right.
They were 2 days away from it, and Las Vegas happened, and 58 people got murdered.
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton stood up there and said, see, if he would have had suppressor, more people would have died, and that was a lie. But we can't determine what the Supreme Court is going to rule on, what they're going to say in there. But they have been quoting some of the amicus statements made by the Second Amendment Foundation.
Right.
So that gives us a little clue to it sounds like at this point they're going to rule in our favor, and they should, because the Supreme Court isn't to legislate. The
Mhm.
Supreme Court is to determine.
Oh, it's to interpret
What-
law. It's to interpret law. That's their job.
It
That's
is
their only
to
job.
determine what the original intent of the law, the Second Amendment of the Constitution, the original intent of the Constitution.
No,
not the law.
I have to give Clarence Thomas his kudos, because Clarence Thomas said to the court, to the entire court, you cannot duck the Second Amendment. It is too part of the Constitution. We have to stop ducking the Second Amendment, and we have to deal with the Second Amendment, ruling on the Second Amendment. That's what he said last year.
And I love Clarence Thomas and his attitude as a Supreme Court judge. I have more respect for his writings and the things that Clarence Thomas does. He rules on what the Constitution is about, and not, and the Constitution wasn't written to restrict the people. The Constitution was written to restrict the government.
Right.
And
but Democrats think that it was written for them to control us. But the Supreme Court, in my opinion, has overstepped its boundaries on a number of occasions. One being the
legalizing gay marriage.
Well, legalizing gay marriage. When we clearly voted, we had a law saying that marriage is between a man and a woman. The United States and the people of the United States did not say we want gay marriage or we accept gay marriage. We had a law that was signed by the president that said marriage is between a what? A man and a woman. It's unconscionable. I mean, again, there's judicial activism when there shouldn't have been.
Roe versus Wade. That is my number one issue. I don't believe that we can continue to be blessed by God if we abort God's blessings.
Well, this is the deal. And so you can't speak out. As conservatives, I've seen this argument go back and forth, and people argue out of both sides of their mouth. Because as a young conservative in the 80s, I heard people arguing against abortion, but also against ADC, aid to dependent children. So if you're going to argue against aid to dependent children, you argue against abortion. What are you doing here? You have to provide some aid to these children. These children aren't going anywhere, but you want to cut aid to dependent children, and that was done in the early 90s. And I don't have any problem with welfare reform, of course, but because I think that it's been bastardized, and I think that it's been abused when anytime you pay people to have more out of wedlock babies. So
and see, that is a terrible thing, to pay people more for that.
No, but it's happening. But we can say that, but it's happening. I mean, it wasn't part of the law before they changed it. Black women couldn't get ADC or welfare until the late 60s, when these liberals decided that they were going to include Black women in this government, so-called government giveaway, which destroyed the Black family. In fact, one of my clips is going to be later on about Daniel Patrick Moynihan, whom I admire tremendously when he talked about that issue. But let's get back to focusing on this gun thing. Because we know that the court's been activist, but the court needs to rule. And this is the other thing that I don't like. I don't think that because of your zip code, you should be required to get the permission of a sheriff or a police chief in order to own a gun or bear a gun. They should be shall issue. Every state in the United States should be a shall issue state.
I'm going to go one better than that.
What's that?
The state of Texas just did constitutional carry. We don't have to ask permission. We don't have to do anything. It is not, it is a shall issue state, and I'll keep my permit. Thank you very much. And the reason I keep my permit in the state of Texas is because I travel outside the state of Texas and there's reciprocity for my permit. But within the state of Texas, I do not have to have a permit to carry, concealed or in the open. I can carry my gun as long as I'm a law-abiding citizen and have not committed felonies and stuff. I can carry my gun within the state of Texas. And I think the whole nation ought to be that way. And I don't care if you're visiting from New York into Texas. When you get to Texas, you have the ability to carry your gun on your side.
Right. That's right.
Come from California, the communist state of California, and come to Texas. You have the right at that point to carry your firearm on your side. And they tried to even at some point make it where it was illegal to carry a long gun outside your home or the range or whatever. And you know, I spoke against that too.
I think one thing, people in New York and these liberals, these liberals in New York, they want some guns now. I had a buddy here in Chicago. He's a doctor, MD. And this guy he said he wanted a gun. He's a former military doctor. He wanted a gun, but he didn't want to have it in the house. His wife didn't want him to have a gun in the house with his kids. I said, well, how are you going to protect your family, dude? If somebody breaks in, he lives in a big mansion, so if somebody breaks in downstairs, unless they have alarms on all the windows and doors, he wouldn't hear them because he's upstairs. He's in this big mansion. So we're talking about this. As we're talking about this, one night, the the front door wasn't locked and it blew open, but they had set the alarm. So the alarm goes off. So, when the alarm goes off in the middle of the night, you're like, oh shit. You're trying to figure it out. What's going on? So he jumps up. His wife says, honey, you need to go downstairs and see what's going on. Well, she's the one with her brilliant self who told him he couldn't have a gun. He's taking a baseball bat to a gunfight. I said, dude, how do you think that's going to work out?
It ain't going to work out good for you.
All that's going to do is give this guy about 2 seconds to shoot you, go up, have his way with your wife, your daughters, your son, and whatever else he wants to do, because nobody's coming.
Absolutely.
So you can play those games. So now, he's gone through in Illinois, we have to get a FOD card. That's the first step. Then that takes you about 30, 60 days. And probably it's longer now because of COVID. Then after you get your FOD card, you paid 60 or 70 bucks. Now you got to go to class. That's another 300 bucks. That's another weekend. If you're not a military person, if you're a military person, it's 8 hours. So, you have all of these restrictions thrown in your way. So that's another 300 bucks and a weekend that you're spending away from home, right? Another 8 hours, 16 hours or 8 hours, depending if you're military, 8, non-military, 16. Then you have to wait 3 to 6 months to get your concealed carry. Now, let me tell you what happened to me last week. I finally got my Florida driver's license, and it says veteran on it. So I took it over to the concealed carry place the next day, and they promptly processed me and said, well, Mr. Butler, you don't need your DD-214 because we see veteran on your driver's license, so you obviously had one to show to the state. And your concealed carry will be to you in 30 days, but it's more like 15. Really? Well, for civilians, it's going to be 90 days if you're not military. But because I'm military, I'll get it in 2 weeks without taking a course, without paying any more money, without sitting in a boring ass class. I'm good. That's Florida versus, Illinois.
That's Florida.
Yep. Yeah. All you have to do is show your DD-214 and that you live here.
The state of Texas, if you want a permit, you have to go through a 4-hour course. And the 4-hour course, and then from that point, you send all your paperwork out to the DPS, the Department of Public Safety here in Texas.
Okay.
it would probably take you a couple of months to get your license back. But understand, we just passed constitutional carry. So you could constitutional carry until you get your permit.
Right.
And you shouldn't have to have the permit. And again, what the permit does for you in the state of Texas is if you go into a gun shop and you want to buy a gun, you purchase the gun and walk out with the gun if you have a permit. If you don't have the permit, they do one phone call to do the background check, and then you walk out with the gun.
That's good. I like it. Hey,
But that is, they do the background check on you if you don't have the permit. If you
do the BI
permit, huh?
Got to do a background investigation.
If you do have the permit, that's already been done for your permit, so they don't even do that for the gun. You walk out with the gun.
Hey, look, this is the question I have for you. And this is the final question.
If you want to compare crime rates, violent crime rates between Texas and Illinois.
Well, let's talk about, and this is the thing that I'm going back and forth with a buddy of mine. We're beefing over Chicago being dangerous. So he's looking at these FBI reports, and the FBI report says, well, Chicago is the number 22 in terms of killings. It's killings per capita. It's killings per capita. So he's trying to compare St. Louis, which is under 1 million. You know, St. Louis is what, 600,000 or 700,000 people, maybe. Chicago, the Chicagoland area is 5 million people. Duh. We got a whole bunch of killings. So yeah, we per capita, we may be low because we have so many people. It's interesting. But you know, people like the mayor yesterday, she tried to say that, how did she say it? She said that the retailers aren't doing enough to deter crime. They need to go out and get more security. Oh, well, they're not going to prosecute the people, even if you arrest them, they're not going to prosecute them. So why should you go deal with it?
Exactly. It's ridiculous. And I tell people, and I'm a perfect example, you are your own first responder.
Well, man, if you hadn't been there that Sunday morning, been a lot more people dead.
Well, you know,
I'm glad you picked the people out. Is that your granddaughter in the background?
Yeah, it's my grandchildren. My wife's taking care of them at the moment. they give. I now have 6 grandbabies.
Oh, that's great, man.
2 are unborn yet. 2 are still in the oven, but I still count them as my grandbabies because they are in this world now.
That's great. Hey, look, man, good to talk to you, Stephen. It's been a while. We're going to keep our eyes and ears open for this verdict that's coming down. I mean, not the verdict, but the opinion that's coming down from the court. And I hope you're right. I hope it is favorable to people in New York.
I think they're expecting it to be in around June, I think, right?
Yeah, about June.
And so and the Second Amendment Foundation is forever pushing to get these positive results for the Second Amendment. Again, if you're a gun owner and you're not a member of the Second Amendment Foundation, please go sign up at saf.org. We are carrying the heavy load, and the more people we get to help carry that load, the more successful we'll be.
Okay. Appreciate you, man. You hang in there, okay?
Thank you. And we kind of ran down a bunch of rabbit trails today.
Yeah, we did. But it's always fun.
It is.
Good seeing you. Hey, Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you too.
All right. Have a good one. All right, here we go. Let's take a little break, a little pause for the cause, and we'll be right back. Hi, this is Charles Butler, the host of the radio show, The Reality Check with Charles Butler. At Asset Benefits, we provide our clients with the rates and benefits from over 20 top-rated life insurance companies. We make you informed decision makers about final expense, mortgage protection, and securing your family's financial stability with the loss of a loved one. Hey, don't wait. Pick up the phone and call 312-667-9111 for your free quote and evaluation. So don't leave your family in a financial crisis because of a failure to plan for financial needs. Please call us for a free analysis and quote at 312 667-9111. Thank you. Hi, this is Charles Butler, the host of the radio show, The Reality Check with Charles Butler. At Asset Benefits, we provide our clients with the rates and benefits from over 20 top-rated life insurance companies. We make you informed decision makers about final expense, mortgage protection, and securing your family's financial stability with the loss of a loved one. Hey, don't wait. Pick up the phone and call 312-667-9111 for your free quote and evaluation. So don't leave your family in a financial crisis because of a failure to plan for financial needs. Please call us for a free analysis and quote at 312-667-9111. Thank you. Hey, folks, I want to quickly cover the Biden fiasco with Putin. People are saying, "Oh, he just opened up the way for the Soviets to invade." And now you want to hear this from the ambassador. Come on, we're gonna play the ambassador of the Soviet Union talking about the meeting and how the American
invasion of Ukraine. Does that make Russia think twice before invading?
There was no conversation about invasion. And I think it is a kind of a provocation that has been designed by Western media, most of all. There was no slightest intention. The two presidents yesterday discussed at length their concerns. The US president has laid out what he thinks about some troop movement on the Russian territory. He feels that it might be threatening. The Russian president has extensively outlined the security concerns of Russia because US-NATO combination has been aggressive in the recent years. We have seen it in Iraq, in Libya, in Syria, and other countries as well. So what we are seeing, it is a buildup of NATO infrastructure along our borders, lots of military activities. Aircrafts are flying across Black Sea, and they're impeding the normal air traffic over there. And all in all, besides, there is a situation in Ukraine is explosive, of course, because nationalistic power over there, they feel NATO support over there, and they attempted more and more to resolve the internal conflict in Ukraine by force.
But if you're not planning to invade Ukraine, what are those 100,000 troops, Russian troops, massing on the border doing?
Well, I have seen very different ciphers in the newspapers, but these are newspapers. Sometimes they're adding to each other, sometimes what. The photos that we have seen it from the air, they have taken about 250 kilometers from the border of Ukraine. Is it close? I don't think so.
But what are they doing, 100,000 troops?
That depends. It is. I do not have plans of the general staff. It is moving troops along the border. And why? It is so because they see clear and immediate threat from NATO building up its infrastructure and bringing closer and closer troops to the Russian border. Of course, we are taking precautions.
But NATO is doing military exercises with Ukraine because Russia annexed Crimea.
We did not annex Crimea. That was a desire of 2 million of those who are populated in Crimea. They wanted to live in Russia and with Russia, and they expressed their opinion at the referendum, of course.
But that sounds like you're still continuing with the denial that Russian forces were involved. You know, the little green men were nothing to do with Russian special forces.
No, you here in the UK, you sometimes are mixing stories in different kingdoms. I would suppose that you'd better learn history. It is not about the troops that has been situated in accordance with the agreement with the Ukraine.
Amen.
It's about a desire of people who volunteered to go inside Russia.
This guy is slick, isn't he? I mean, he's a typical diplomat. I mean, he's all on it, man. I love it. He's like, well, no, we didn't annex Crimea. They wanted to be annexed, but we didn't annex them. Well, there were 2 million people who wanted to be with Russia. But we're supposed to be stupid, okay? He didn't annex Crimea, but there were 2 million people who wanted to be with the Russians. That's what he said. It's hilarious, man. You cannot make this stuff up. You cannot make it up. It's just what it is. I tell you, it's a mess. But Joe Biden got punked, and Putin didn't back down. He's still saber rattling on the Ukrainian border. He's going to continue saber rattling on the Ukrainian border. See, you have to remember something, and most people don't know this to begin with. The Ukraine was always considered the breadbasket of the Soviet Union. So if you go in here to your Google or to your whatever search engine you're using, I tend to use DuckDuckGo, and because I love it. It's pretty good. It's gives you kind of an independent search here. So I go in here to DuckDuckGo and I put in USSR bread. Let's see, bread. What was it called? It was called the bread basket. Bread basket. Okay. So I hit search, and what does it say? The bread basket Union. Let's see, Soviet Union Virgin Lands bread basket film story, and it's what country was once called the bread basket of Soviet Union? Da 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 da. It was the Ukraine, as I said, the Ukraine. So check it out. See, that's how you tie these things together. But if you don't know where to look in the first place or understand why China is looking to move into Crimea, you won't get it. You won't get it. You know, I want to, Bob Dole was eulogized today, and I want to, pay tribute to Senator Dole. Great American, had an opportunity to sit with him, or he sat with us and Art Fletcher and Paul Simon, and had some interesting things to say. He's funny as I don't know what. He's witty, funny, dry sense of humor. Never took himself too serious, but is a very serious man about America. And I want to share this clip with you and say goodbye to a great statesman and a great American, Senator Bob Dole. So we're going to switch over here and do it right now.
Americans with disabilities are full participants in the process. They're in the mainstream. So I remember in 1983, and I know Pat Moynihan remembers, we were standing right over in this aisle. We had a bipartisan commission on Social Security. We had met week after week, month after month, and it was about to go down the drain. We'd about given up. Everybody was disgusted. We were getting short-tempered. We were Democrats and Republicans. The late John Hines was a member of that commission. As chairman of the Finance Committee, I was a member. Senator Moynihan was a member. And Senator Moynihan, I think just by chance or fate or whatever, happened to meet in this aisle on my right. And we said, we got to try one more time to rescue Social Security. One more time. It wasn't a partisan issue. And we did. That afternoon, we convened 3 more people. We had 5 of the commission. And it wasn't long, we were back on track, and we finally made it happen. And 37 million people have gotten their checks on time. And I think I read in the Washington Post just this weekend, Social Security is going to be in pretty good shape until the year 2029. So that's a pretty good fix. And maybe a pattern, as I said earlier today, we can follow on Medicare for the long-term solution. Take it out of politics, as we did on Social Security. Make it work, make it solvent. And the people who get the credit are the people who get the checks. 37 million of them.
Wow. See, I mean, how can you not love Bob Dole? I mean, he was about America. He's about Americans. And see, when you look at President Trump didn't talk Democrat or Republican. He talked about America. He talked about Americans. The media tried to demonize Trump, much like they did Dick Nixon, much like they did Barry Goldwater, much like they did Gerald Ford. And I don't like those little twerps. I don't like the liberal media. I don't like them. I've never liked them. They're the kind of kids that I was in school with that always mess with me. They never included me in anything. These were the liberals. We're the liberals. We're above it all. We know what's best for everyone. We're driving things. I hated those guys. I hated them. Hated them in college. Hate them in the workplace. I didn't say dislike. What did I say? Hate them. Anyway, we're getting close to our time to sign off on Red State. And we're going to do that. We're going to do that on time today because I have other things to do. We have a lot of stuff that's going on. And we're just getting it done. That's what we're doing. We're just doing it well. Anyway, Bob Dole, goodbye. Great statesman, great friend to America and Americana. And I wish we had more politicians like you, like your wife. So farewell, Godspeed. Where are we going with this? Let's see. I wonder if old Joe, what's his name? Joe Madison. I wonder what Joe Madison is doing these days. Is he still doing the hunger strike? Let's see. Joe Madison. I didn't get a chance to check it out today. He tickles me. Joe Madison, hunger strike. Let's see. Hunger strike. Let's see what he's doing. He's protesting something. Let's see here. Joe Madison. Let's see. He urges Congress to put the voting. Hey, shut the hell up. Stupid. He's so stupid. Oh man, he is too funny. He is too funny. So Joe Madison calls on Democrats to set a deadline because he's losing it, man. He's losing all this weight and stuff. To set a deadline on voting rights action in Congress. Today is the 31st day of his hunger strike for voting rights. Despite losing 23 pounds in the last month, he vows to continue to abstain from solid food until Senate reforms the filibuster or passes the freedom to vote. Who does he think he is? And does he think anybody really cares whether or not he, just, and this John Lewis Voting Rights Advanced Act is crazy. Everything that's in it is about what the Carter Baker Commission said what was wrong with America and wrong with voting and those issues and how you commit voter fraud. So, Joe, sorry, you better start eating, buddy, before you waste away to nothing. 23 pounds. Damn, I wish I could lose that much weight. 23 pounds in 31 days. Yeah, dang, tell you. So let's listen to the Eagle, see what he has to say out here.
Today marks day 31 of my hunger strike. And I am committing myself. How do I put this? I want to be very careful and explain to you why I am continuing the hunger strike. I had said that the United States Senate had three options. One, to carve out.
Well, we can't take all day. Joe is obviously a little weak and delusional. Hey, Red State, we will see you tomorrow. Same time, same place, Freedom Friday. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, so we're back. And I just want to wrap this up real quick. But Joe Madison is in the day 32 of his hunger strike, day 31 of his hunger strike. Tomorrow will be day 32, Freedom Friday. We'll deal with it. But I want to talk about that tomorrow. So tune in, and you can also go out and catch us on my channel, The Reality Check, out on YouTube, and keep it going. Thanks again. Be good, and have a blessed day.